children, and therefore we were molded by our mother. Anything good, any virtue that you see in myself or my siblings has come from our mother, Mama Susan. Any vice you see, any madhogodhanio you see amongst us, iyo tumejitafutia huku, it is not our mother. So we are very well brought up. We are brought up by a gracious woman. I feel so privileged to call her my mother. And I do not think there are enough words that can state who and what she meant to me. There are 5 things she taught me. One is generosity. As you have been streaming into our homes, both in Nairobi and in Nyeri, I've had beautiful stories of how you came and you went with Duma and Guashes. My mother was a generous woman. She used to say, "Ugeruga irio ithire, umenye we mukare." Na cia mukare ciiragwo iriagirwo ku mambura-ini. Augaga ciake itikarirwo mambura-ini. My mother was a generous woman. One thing she did when I became Deputy Governor of Nyeri is to make sure she has converted me to a peddler of waru, naboga. My boot is always full of those things. I know C.S. Betty is saying sometimes the warus don't get to the people they are supposed to be delivered to, but it is because you are so many of her children. Just about a week ago, she came with a whole whatever of bananas. She told me, Nyinawakori, which is Jenny, who spoke earlier. She talked about Shebesh, and she talked about governor. She said, Irigorere, unne oetere Nyinawakori, oetere Shebesh, na oetere governor. Na governor ni damuogerera gekwa, todo ni wakuma meru. So they still have the bananas. That was just about a week ago. And that really is who my mother was. She was very startled if you visited anybody without a kiondo. Because she would wonder, wadhi kwado urugamete atia. Kana oshureti au kaka goshuria handbag. So she was a generous woman. She said, whenever we have a party, have a big tent. Let there be empty seats, but let not the vice versa happen, that people are squeezing and there is no enough food. So that I have learned from my mother. The second one is being compassionate. I don't know if Raphael is here. Mudhurio gwetwo Rafaeli, uria makire thibitari rugama baba tukuhurira rohi. Let us appreciate Raphael. Mudhurio cio mena mami na kamite yariho yadu ageigi ni moigire itura ritu ria Nyerivo niri kwagirira ukori na thibitari. So the first thing they did was come together, and even before the government had put money, they contributed money to start the foundation of the first dispensary in where I come from, which is Nyerivo village. They entrusted my mother as the treasurer, and today that dispensary is serving the larger Nyerivo, Kimejo, Naiti area, and we have been able to transform the lives and the health of the people of Nyeri County. People sometimes ask me, why are you so passionate about cancer? Why are you so passionate about healthcare? And I am a believer that healthcare is the most important thing that is all the time overlooked by politicians. And I think it is because healthcare does not give political mileage. It's not measurable. So a lot of politicians are able to ignore healthcare. My mother embraced healthcare, and she understood the importance of healthcare from especially a primary level, because the difference between a healthcare system that works and one that doesn't work is how strong the primary level is, meaning how strong your dispensaries and your health centers are. What kind of staff do you have there? What kind of commodities? So my mother was very passionate about that. She lost her husband to cancer, and I remember promising her that I will not fight people. When I get into politics, I will not fight men and women. I will fight bigger things like cancer. I have done a campaign, and you're all aware of it. Over 3 years, we've been able to screen about 200,000 people here in Nyeri County. It is work that my mother has always reminded me to commit myself. And she said, even when the frustrations come, even when you're put under fire, that is something you must do from your heart, because when people are screened, then we are able to save lives. And that compassion really comes from my mother. The other thing that my mother taught me is how to be bold and fearless. From since I was a little girl, I think you heard my story when I met President Moi, and everybody was so afraid because President Moi was to be feared anyway. And I mean, if the grown-ups feared him, how much more would a child fear him? But my mother told me, you go straight on, head on, ask him bold and fearless questions about what you think. So my mother taught me to be bold and fearless, but very respectful. So if there is any boldness that you see in me or strength, that is drawn from my mother. She taught me never to carry my pain on the face. My mother was first diagnosed with a heart condition 20 years ago. If you met my mother last week before she was called home by God, you would think she's the healthiest person. Kanati wadwaitu. Adwari amaro nyina asusani, wonare amanaridi nake last week. Marona mutumia mwikeneri, mutumia otari na maundu maige, na mutumia ucio akorago aturite murwaru murimu wa ngoro miaka gukinya 20. So she taught me not to carry my pain on my face. She used to say, mundu ni akoragwo akuite maundu maige, no ndamakuaga no thiu, amakuaga na igoto marito hamuno ugakatia. Akamarekia. Kwoguo I have been taught that. So sometimes when you hear that I'm going through tribulations in the county government and you still see me having a smiling face, it is because my mother has taught me never to carry my pain on my face. The last thing she has taught me is to be focused. Be focused in what you want to do. There are people who float around life hata kwa political stand hawana, mara leo wako huku, kesho wako huku kwingine. She said you must be focused in life. You must know what you want. First for yourself, second for the community that has raised you. You must be a focused person. And once you're focused, in fact, those of you who have my number, you will see a statement that's always on my WhatsApp is keep purpose constant. Why are you Deputy Governor? When you are gone as Deputy Governor, what will the people of Nyeri say you did? Kanane Deputy Governor wa gwetagwo magogona okay ahore smile na ahoro bisha. So she used to tell me, do something, be focused on a certain agenda. So Deputy Governor, there will be a legacy of what you actually did. If you have my tribute, you will see she talked about focus on education a lot to me. She used to tell me in Kikuyu, wajirodo kana henio tewe mudaka, doadome. Utire modo dakaraga gashurio busheri akarariado. For those that don't understand that French, my mother said to me about my schooling and my education, do not be lied to that you're too beautiful to be in school. Nobody is too beautiful that they hang in a butchery and everybody comes for a piece of them. Beauty does not count. And I remember very well, I was very excited. I was very young, I think 21 years old, when I was crowned Miss Nairobi, Miss Tourism Nairobi. And I was very excited. And I remember calling my mother and telling her, I'm being crowned Miss Nairobi. So I happened to be there when she was calling her friends, and she said, so she called modeling Muinyogodo. Not to demean it, but to show me that it was not about beauty. That there's got to be more about you that defines you than the things that are aesthetics. The other thing, and perhaps the last thing, she taught me to know and decipher the word and the will of God. To know when it is my time to speak, when it is my time to be silent, when it is my time to appear, when it is my time to disappear. That wisdom and emotional intelligence is taught to me by my mother. I remember recently she said to me, "Niukuona gavana waku kahigana no tamuru wa nyukwa, ni mukuru gukira."